care because every time I try to plan something, it just goes.
Well, let's start, and if it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere.
Oh, the pressure. All right. So, yeah, I was just thinking a lot about the choice factor in everything. Like, so many people feel so powerless over their anger, their impulses they're using, and that's not to say that there's not some truth there, right? Like, I pick up a drug, I become much more powerless over my substances. When I was unconscious, it seemed like there wasn't much choice in the factor. Like, I wake up, I hunt, I use because my feelings are so strong to use. My routines and my behaviors are so like ingrained, and it's so automatic and like secondary, you know what I mean? That like I snap on people when I'm angry because my thoughts pop in my head, and my point of view is so strong. And I don't know, I just got to thinking today that like, yes, there is some truth there, but it's not all truth, because we do have choice. We do have and make choices. And I feel like sometimes when it comes to not only people who still use, but people who just kind of play like they are just so powerless over themselves, but they're kind of like deflecting the fact that no, you are making choices as well. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, this is a really good topic because I've been like, just now recently realizing how I got stuck in victim mode. And that was because I, finally started figuring myself out, getting to know myself and my issues and stuff. And it was a good feeling because I'm like, okay, there isn't just something wrong with me. I'm not just like some fucked up person and the worst person. It's just things have, over time, in my past, happened to me that made me this way. And the more I started digging into that, as always, did too much digging. And I slipped into that trap of, well, I am like this because of what happened to me in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So that I started thinking like, like you said, I have a choice. I don't have to be like this. But sometimes it feels like it's like, for one, I've never been able to be any other way. I don't know how to be any other way. I don't know where to start. And then two, yeah, the sixth step, like, I'm powerless over these things. But as I'm thinking here about anger, right? Let's say, like, anger is, like, probably the easiest one to use a metaphor as. But, so, when you're angry, you either act out on that anger or you don't, right? So, some people can drive themselves, like, can just get so worked up that it gets physical, They either, like, start hitting somebody or just throwing shit, and I've had, like, moments like that where I would do that, like, just recently in school and stuff, because, anger, underneath that, there's fear, and you're not powerless over the anger, you're kind of powerless over the fear. So, but it's all about, I feel like, just going back to the reason why we feel powerless is because we resist those things and we don't accept them. So if we accept and don't resist these parts of ourselves, we can feel more empowered that way. So it's kind of like you can't change something until you accept it. So I haven't been able to accept, my victim shit, because it's like, man, I would have never seen myself as like a victim type. I always, see myself as like this, I don't know, angry, like scary person, right? So now that I'm finally accepting that this is where I got to, that's how I started thinking. I've been able to feel like more like I have a choice. So, but yeah, and just like anything, you have to accept that you're an addict. You have to just, because otherwise you're gonna keep feeling powerless over it and just allowing yourself to be powerless because you don't accept that part. If that am I making any sense right now?
Yeah, no, totally. You just touched on a lot of things, so I'm trying to figure out how to go about touching on them myself. So the anger part, anger isn't really as much of an emotion as it is a response to an emotion. Like you were saying, like it's fear, it's disappointment, it's embarrassment, it's, non-acceptance of what is. It's, it's a number of things. Hardly ever anger. Why is someone angry? Like, you bump into me, why am I angry? Did you embarrass me? Did you, cross my line? Am I conditioned that, I can't let anybody try me in any way? You know what I mean? There's usually something else there. So anger is a choice that people make. Now, I do understand that just like with some addicts or compared to other people who use, some of us experience things stronger. Like some people can pick up a drink and put it down. Some people cannot put it down because the strength of their feeling and urge is like so much stronger than the person who can put it down. So same thing with anger. Someone who, just has this overwhelming anger, whether they're just conditioned or just maybe they just believe that they're powerless so much that they, rationalize it, justify it, they excuse themselves from any accountability from it because they're just like, nope, well, when I get angry, that's just how I get, and it's like, okay, no, you know what I mean? Like everybody is the way they are because of their past. Otherwise we'd all just be walking around here fucking wide open and free. So some of us have had trust violations, some of us have had trauma, abuse, you know what I mean? And these things make us the way we are. They make us angry, they make us protective, they make us closed off, whatever. They make us seek comfort in other people. So those types of things, yes, they're like secondary responses to an unmet need, right? But at the same time, that doesn't excuse ongoing behavior to the fact that it's not a choice. You know what I mean? It is a choice. Just like, I don't know, and I'm not trying to talk about your stuff specifically as much as, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say this to you.
No, it's okay.
As much as I'm just thinking about like other people that are kind of on my mind when I started thinking about how things aren't a choice. Because it all really is. It was for me too. It didn't feel like it at the time. I didn't know there was another way. I didn't have the skill set to like address these issues, and I didn't like the feelings it left me with. You know what I mean? As far as like not using or holding my tongue or whatever. It felt like super defeating. It just felt impossible. So it's also hard to ask someone who's in an unconscious state to make a choice like that because they just can't see it. Even in my moments of unconsciousness and triggered states, I don't see other options as easily. They are still there. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm at a fork in the road and I'm driving slow up to it. So I have a choice to make. And then when I'm triggered, it's like I'm driving at the fork in the road super fast. and I don't have time to make the decision. I just go down the road I'm used to going because I know that that's just like an automatic response. Maybe there's like tire tracks and grooves in the road, so it's easier for my car to just go that way. You know what I'm saying? Like that's so I think just recognizing that is step one for people. Like knowing that yes, I have trauma responses, yes, I have conditionings, yes, I have reasons that I am this way, but let's just not like pretend that that's the end all be all. Like there is no other answer and there never will be, because that's just not true. You know what I mean? It's harder to make a new groove, and it's harder to make a new choice when you're always used to making these choices. Like, well, every time someone looks at me funny, I get mad, or every time someone steps on my shoe, I punch them. You know, if that's what you're used to doing, then that's the first thing you're gonna think. That's the impulse you're gonna have, and that's the decision you make. But then, you know, it's like so much harder to just be like, "Hey, bruh, watch it, man. You just stepped on my new J's. Like, could you please back up a minute?" You know what I mean? Like, it at least is an option. And I don't know. I just was feeling, and nobody said anything like this. I just was analyzing it because there's just a few people, whether it's work or personal, like people I've encountered who just really seem like they are absolutely powerless. And I'm like, nah, you are making choices. You know what I mean? And they're just totally absolving themselves of any fucking accountability. And it just really got me thinking, like, about this whole choice thing.
Was I one of them?
No, you were not one of them.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No, you're fucking one of them. You're not one of them. You're all of them.
Because it's always about me.
Yeah, babe.
Me only. Did you just call me back?
No.
Yeah, no. So, for one, either people are unconscious and are not aware of what they're doing. Two, like we talked about before, if it works for somebody, and if it continues to work, if it's not causing him any problems, they will just keep living and pushing that till they hit rock bottom.
Or if they're getting away with it.
Getting away with it. That's what I was trying to say, but I just can't talk right now.
Well, I got you.
So, same with using. You know, if you can continue to get away with, you know, getting by with, you know, just bare minimum, you know, using, you know, continue to just live life, like, you're going to keep doing it.
Or if you're cheating on your partner and, you know, they don't leave you for it. They just...
Right.
Why would you stop?
Yeah, you can get away with it. And, any of that. But there are certain things, though, and I will tell you, like, I know I'm one of those people because because when I get triggered, when I'm in that state, that's when I feel like I have no choice. I lose awareness. I lose everything I've ever learned in recovery. And I don't know. There's been some days where I can just be like, okay, bring it on. Like you always tell me, you know, just be like, okay, let's go. So I'll do it, you know, in days when I mostly have been okay for the most part. And it goes away. It gets better. But when I'm going through a rough time and it's consistently happening, it's like, oh, dude, I just want it to stop. So I keep resisting it. So it persists. Mm-hmm. And, but the thing about those triggered moments where I feel powerless, I go towards the thing that has worked for me before. I go towards the familiarity because I don't know any other way. And I feel like I can't do it any other way. And when I do know that I can, because I started to get to a point where I do know that I can and I do have a choice, I almost feel like I don't want to. Mm-hmm. I feel like whatever I'm doing right now, I'm getting something from it. It's working for me. There it is. I just figured it out.
Would you share with the class what it is?
I just said it.
Oh. Where was I at?
No, like literally when I feel like I have no choice, it's because it's working for me. I actually don't want to. That no choice feeling is actually, I just want to.
So that feeling where you feel like you don't have a choice is actually your choice.
Yes.
Ooh.
Like I want to do this right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do anything else but this right now. I want to be in this state. I want to do this because at some point it has worked for me.
Or even if it doesn't work for you, it's familiar. You at least, it's predictable. You know where this is going to go. Yeah. You know you're about to go down this dark road, but you also know where that dark road ends.
And I keep doing it. And I feel like a huge part of it is, as always, because I don't accept that part of me. It's a weird paradox. Like,
Daddy, I've been so worried about Mary, and I finally
You found her. Good.
oh yeah, in the basement, right?
No.
No?
It was in my bunch of toys at the Bluey house.
Oh, it was a unicorn that I saw in the basement. Whatever. But yeah, so fuck was I saying?
Making the choice. Deep dark road, know where it ends.
There's something else that I was gonna go off with that.
Oh.
Oh, acceptance. So, if I just accept, like, okay, this is what I fucking do, right? If I start accepting it, if I start seeing it for what it is, and if I start detaching from it, you know, like, like in the moment, you know, okay, well, I'm doing the, well, actually, no, just kidding. Right before it starts. Because it's kind of like, because I feel like I already have talked about this, but I'll circle back again. When I think about using, right, I have to catch that thought. I have to either play the tape through or whatever right before I allow myself to slip into it. Because if I slip into it and I allow myself to go use, I'm not going to be able to sit there and talk myself out of it. Same with those triggered states. If I let myself fall into it, I'm done. I can't come out. No matter what. Like you tell me, like, oh, your vibe is killed, it's fucked. You can't pull out. Same thing with, like, my shit. So, and I think that's a lot like a using thought. It's a lot like wanting to use and allowing yourself to go use. Because, you know, what is using? Using is something that has worked for us, and we allow ourselves to do it until we realize it doesn't work. Same with these defects. Same with all that shit, you know, with those, like, survival mode tactics. It's worked for us. We've used them before, and we want to continue to use them until they don't work. And they're harder to get rid of, quote unquote, because they're not, you know, they're not problematic. You know, you can live your whole life having those issues and still be socially acceptable for the most part. Like me being hard on myself, beating the fuck out of myself constantly. It doesn't affect other people, you know? Well, at least not the people that are close to me, or just society, whatever, in general. So it's continuing to work for me because it doesn't affect other people. And, you know, I haven't had major problems with it. So I continue to do it. And, yeah. So I really, you know, we really gotta somehow either get to a point of somehow see how it's not working, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, totally. But I think, just as like you're saying, it's hard to do. That's like a deeply ingrained pathway.
Mm-hmm.
But there is still choices that are made. You know what I mean? Like when I wake up every morning, I choose to smoke still. It's harder for me to wake up and not smoke than it is for you to wake up and not smoke. Because you have a new pathway, even though you used to smoke.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I could take the stance that I don't have a choice. I have to smoke because of the feelings that I get if I don't, the anxiety, the just nervousness feelings, just that impulse. You know what I mean? Like, I'll have to fight that impulse all day. It will eventually go away with new choices made, and then to the point where the choice seems easier, just like quitting drugs. Shit was hard, trying to do it on day 1, day 11, day 50. You know what I mean? But now that I've got some years, it's not a choice I need to fight with every day. Just occasionally whenever it's really thought about or brought up. But even then, there's so many new choices I've made since then that those are my options, and those are better looking options than, oh, something bad just happened, I want to get high. No, I'd rather go to a meeting, or I'd rather address the issue, because to me that feels better. I know that's a more effective plan. Not only is it like it's a better feeling, it's not just what I should do but don't want to do. It's what I actually want to do, because I know the result is better. I know the action is better, and I know that drugs aren't an answer for me. It's not even going to solve the problem. That's just where my brain goes, because that pathway was there for so long. You know what I mean? So, like, same with anger. Like, when I actually argue with people these days, and I can probably count on like 5 hands how many times I've argued with people. Like, for real, just
5 hands?
Yeah, because I was going to say 1 hand, and I'm like, no, definitely not 1 hand, 2, 3, I will say 5. Since I've gotten sober, like, and I mean, like, I don't mean just like little triggered, specific things. I mean, like, saw a choice to argue and chose it. You know what I mean? And when I give in to that first jab, it's so much harder to stop after that.
Right.
Just like addiction.
Yep.
Like, I can get people talking shit, people poking at me, people trying to provoke me, and I can let it go. Like, it does not bother me. I don't sit there and feel like, oh man, I'm a punk, because that's how I used to feel. Or like I lost, or I'm too scared. Like, no, I just choose not to. Like, I don't have time for this, and I actually feel better not participating. But when I give in and I like say that one slick thing, thinking, I really tell myself, literally, just this one time. I'm just going to throw this one little jab, because I'm fucking sick of it. Like, I'm tired of letting you jab me all the time. I'm tired of being the bigger person. And, I just want to give in. I want to just be bad right now. And I give in, and I say my little slick shit, and I stay within my bounds still. Like, I haven't stooped. But anyway, the point is, I throw that jab, and another one comes back at me. And what do you think I do after that? You know what I mean?
Just one more jab.
Yep, just one more time. One more time. Now, I have experienced where I've given into the one, I've given into the second one, then I cut myself off. Because I'm like, dude, I see where this is going, and I stop. But man, there's times where I'm talking... we're like throwing the most tired swings, because we're just going and it's just not stopping, and it's so toxic. I see every bad part that it brings out an uglier me, and I just can't fucking stop. You know what I mean? Like, it's so insane. I can even see myself doing it. Tell myself, what are you doing? You know better. You know what this is doing to you. You already see the effects, and still fucking choose to do it. It's a choice. You know what I mean? Like, I made a choice, and that, to me, like, so I feel like the difference between us, people who have some awareness, people who reflect, we can get lost in our triggers, we can get lost in our moments, and we can make a choice that doesn't feel like a choice, right? It feels more automatic. But later, when we get through our trigger, because they don't last forever, when we get past our unconsciousness, because that doesn't last for weeks, we have moments where we come back to ourselves. That's when we reflect and realize the choice that we made. Now, what I'm saying is starting to look at these, what seem like not choices, as choices for some of the harder things is probably going to be beneficial moving forward. Like, because honestly, like when I get really triggered, I wasn't really looking back thinking that was a choice that I made. I looked at it like there was no other option. That's how I get when I feel like that. But I make choices. You know what I mean? Like, do I communicate it? Do I shut down? Do I isolate? Do I run away? Do I, when I say my vibe gets killed and I can't get over it, is that true?
No.
I mean, it seems true at the time. It's really hard to get over it.
Right.
And what makes it harder is if I have an attachment to how things should be to define being over it. Like, I may not be able to go right back to laughing, joking, and playing and not thinking about it. But that's kind of an extreme. You know what I mean? I feel like I've gotten in a couple weird vibes lately where I've been able to communicate it and really fucking, it's totally gone. Like, it's not just like halfway there later. It's there heavy for a minute. I don't bypass it. I kind of don't give into it, but I allow it. And then I speak on it. And I also allow that to be received and reciprocated, however that is. And totally letting it go. Not focusing on how long it's going to be here. It needs to go away. Fuck, let me run away. Like, just whatever, man. And it just goes away.
Yeah, you've been really, really good about it.
Thank you.
I was very impressed. I've been wanting to say.
Thank you. It wasn't even that I was gonna say it was hard, but it really wasn't that hard. It was just I did something different. You know what I mean? Like, I made a different choice rather than stew, rather than not say anything, rather than want it to go away. Because I noticed even though it was still kind of weird, I was like, okay, like, it's all good. We don't need to separate. We're fine. You know? New choices, baby.
Yeah, because I was just so used to, like, how it was before, and I'm just like, should I dip?
Should I just, like, fuck off somewhere?
This is about that time that should leave.